you like this video, please rate, comment, share and subscribe. If you dislike it, please tell me why so I can improve. I want to talk today about why nobody is evil, in my opinion, and why organisations tend to be evil. What I mean by nobody is evil is that nobody acts against their conscience without self-deception. Now, that needs a bit of explanation because obviously people can do things and later regret them or believe them to be wrong later. But what I think happens is that the sense of conscience is so powerful that it's hard to imagine anybody being able to act against that. So when you're committing an act or refraining from committing an act of whatever kind, you will never believe that it is wrong while you're doing it. Because if you did and you had a conscience, that would imply that you wouldn't be able to do it because that conscience would stop you from doing it. I get this from introspection. I can't really think of any situation where I've acted intentionally wrongly while actually in the act of doing it. There are people who appear to be evil and there are people who appear to act against their conscience. And the way I think this works is in one of two ways. One is that when you act against your conscience, or apparently act against your conscience, what you are in fact doing is telling yourself a lie. So you're saying it's actually okay to do that because of such and such. For example, you might be bribed and you might get money and you think, well, that's okay because I can provide for my family, or perhaps even I can provide for myself and it's okay because I've missed out in the past, or something like that. And so you then act in accordance with your conscience, but you also act self-deceptively. When that happens, obviously that would seem to imply that self-deception is not wrong, otherwise you wouldn't be able to do it, because then that would form some sort of infinite regress and you wouldn't be able to act against your conscience. So that's what happens. The other case in which it happens is that people sometimes don't have consciences. That's what I mean when I say a psychopath. A psychopath is somebody who is ethically skeptical, who acts out that skepticism, which may be imprudent. In fact, it could be that psychopaths are more impulsive than other people who are ethically skeptical. In other words, they don't believe there is right or wrong. They don't actually have a conscience, so they're not acting against their conscience. So you have these two situations where people are either deceiving themselves in order to do wrong, perhaps only in the moment, and then a moment later they will decide that they have done wrong and feel bad about it in some way, or perhaps not feel bad about it, but intellectually accept that they've done wrong. Or there are people who have no conscience at all, and that's how they act. Now the other thing is that where does evil come from? Well, I think evil on the whole doesn't happen with individuals. Individuals are not themselves evil. Individuals always have goodwill and good intentions. What happens though is that there are organisations and groups and gangs, for example, and when that happens, people become abstracted from the contact that they have with the rest of the world. They get things like received wisdom, they end up having their own ways of thinking, or they simply lose touch with empathetic situations. And because they do that, they then have things like loyalty to the group or power struggles to get to the top in order to achieve a greater good in the long term, or good intentions which are perverted by the distance that they have from others. So they no longer have a face-to-face relationship with people. They have a more abstract relationship which enables them to act wrongly. But that action is in the group. It's an emergent property of a whole group of people and never happens with individuals. This actually links to tomorrow's video, which is about the nature of religion and whether it's inevitable. So I'll see you tomorrow.